Okay, you're calling it The Dark Knight. It's about a crime-fighting vigilante, but it's not Batman. Okay, walk me through this, guys. Hi, guys. Welcome to the Real Movie Lovers Podcast, a podcast about real filmmakers having real discussions about real life. Topics include movies, TV, current events, and tech news. I'm your host, Lisa, holding it down solo while my co-host is on hiatus. And today we are diving into a lot of goodies. So buckle in, let's get started. This is our first episode of the new year, 2025. So happy new year, guys. And over the winter break, I got a chance to check out the Netflix show Arcane with my daughter. We watched the first season. So no spoilers for the second season. I'm not there yet. I haven't finished. But can I just say, I get the hype. Let's just talk about the surface level things. The artistic vision, the masterful combining of the animation, how they are drawn, how they move. It is breathtaking. I understand why the show took 3 years to be created. It's masterful. And the storyline itself about two sisters who are essentially orphaned, after a war between, to put it more simply, the highly elite and the lower income, like going back at it. And, the elite, they have the force and the numbers, so they overpowered and they won. And these two young girls are in this tumultuous situation, in this dangerous world, trying to navigate. And I forget his name. I should have had this ready. I told myself to have this ready. Sorry, guys. What was his name? I can't remember his name right now, but he takes them in and becomes more of like a father figure to them. And you watch as the bond between these sisters, how close they are. And through unfortunate events, they are separated and their trajectory in life goes in two different directions. And now they're on the opposite sides of a growing problem. And they have different ways of dealing with the problem. I'm not trying to give away too much in case some of you are late to the game like me. But first of all, it tugs at you, this animation. Like definitely cried a couple times during the season. It really gets you. And then I watched, I think, the first couple episodes of season 2. So I have to finish it. I'm trying to dodge and avoid spoilers as much as possible, but feel free to comment in the comments about it, what you guys think about the show, how awesome it is or not awesome. Everyone doesn't like everything, but I just love the artistic style, and it's such a strong story. It just connects. They took time with this one. And they took it out of the oven at the perfect time. The other thing that I checked out was Squid Games. I started Squid Games season 2. And then I took a break to watch the Squid Games challenges, where it was like a reality game show type of thing, where they're competing in a similar fashion, except for no one dies in this one. And end up watching the whole thing. It was wild. I had a really good time with it. I enjoyed it. Didn't expect the person who won to win. That was a shocker. I'll be honest with you, that was a shocker. But now I see that they're looking for a new batch of people for 2024. Oh, no, sorry, for the next one, whenever that one comes out. And my daughter was like, "Oh, you should try out for that." And I was like, no, mom's not built for that. Not cutthroat like that. I don't want to do that. That's not how I roll. So it doesn't work for me at all. I was honestly surprised at how engaging it was, the reality show. I thought that I would be like snooze fest, but it wasn't. It was very entertaining. And how the curveball that they threw in the show was left field. It was a nice touch, because they had been following the games in the reality show, the game show, similar to the REEL series. But then one of the games, they had adjusted it and the competitors weren't ready for that. They thought it was going to happen the same way, and they were thrown for a curveball, and it had very interesting effects. I appreciate that. And I also checked out Gremlins 1 and 2. I introduced the family to the little gremlins. So the first one, which was more of I want to say thriller, horror, dark comedy type feel to it. Gremlins attacking a town. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Gremlins, it's one guy, one little fuzzy, cutesy guy. I'm sure you've seen his merchandise somewhere. One little fuzzy, cutesy guy. But you can't feed him after 12 o'clock. You can't get him wet. And you cannot take him out in sunlight. Sunlight kills him. And he's very sweet and like just a little fuzzy thing. However, if he gets wet, he like multiplies, more fuzzy things come out, and they're never like him. And they're always like a problem. And if you eat, they turn into monsters. So I know that it sounds scary, and there are scary elements in the first one, but for the most part, it's like a comedy. And Gremlins 2, it became more like a sci-fi, slapstick, goofy comedy. They went all out on that one. Because in this one, the Gremlins, when they're created, they get a hold of some kind of experimentation of a science lab. So you got a gremlin who's like a bat now, and one who's like made out of vegetables, one who can talk, who's smart, one who turns into a huge gremlin spider. So for my people who are scared of spiders, be aware of that one. But the kids loved it. Obviously I loved it. I grew up with the Gremlins 1 and 2, and it was fun to revisit it with them. So if you haven't checked out Gremlins, you should. It's fun. It's definitely fun. I want to take a quick moment to ask you guys if you like the content that you're watching, if you could hit that notification bell, subscribe. I don't even think I said that in the right order. But if you want to hear more from me, go ahead and do that. And I'm trying to grow this community, be helpful. And for those of you who want to hear even more from me, go ahead and check out my Patreon, NXG Global Productions, where there's more perks, more benefits, more insight, more videos. I'm also a filmmaker and writer, so I divulge tips and all kind of fun things. And for those of you who are ready to get your screenwriting journey started, I'm going to be teaching an intro to screenwriting class online on March 1st. I'm going to put all details in the captions in the comments. We're going to be going over dialogue and characters, screenwriting format. It's going to be a good time. Plug over. Let's dive into our first movie news this week. The Oscars disqualified over 100 films for Best Picture this year for failing eligibility requirements. I am not an awards girl. I'll be honest with you. Sitting down and watching awards really isn't my thing. I tend to watch the highlights or in hearsay. I've only ever sat down and watched the Oscars from beginning to end. With my college friends. We were all into film. We were going for film. So we had an Oscar night. It was the best time. And if we could do that every year, I would definitely do that every year. But as far as me sitting down solo to watching the Oscars and doing all that, that's not really me. I'm not really big into just doing that. That's more, it's a group thing for me. I treat it like that. I would need to have a group. Unless you guys want to do a group watch party, I'd be open to that. But anyway, so of the 323 films that are eligible for Oscar nominations this year, 116 of them have already been excluded from the Best Picture category. So let's see what they're saying here. Okay, so Ben Taylor's moving drama about the discovery of IVF, Joy, Anna Kendrick's directorial debut, Woman of the Hour, and the Barry Keoghan-led drama Bird all failed to meet the necessary criteria from the Academy to qualify. The official rule states feature films must open in a commercial motion picture theater in at least one of 6 U.S. metropolitan areas. So that's basically LA, the City of New York, the Bay Area, Chicago, Illinois, Miami, Florida, and Atlanta, Georgia, between January 1st of 2024 and December 31st of 2024, and complete a minimum qualifying run of 7 consecutive days in the same venue. And feature films must have a running time of more than 40 minutes. Additionally, several of the 116 disqualified movies failed to hit representation and inclusion standards, RAISE, a new diversity requirement enforced by the Academy. All right, so let's take a moment to unpack this. I watched Anna Kendrick's movie Woman of the Hour, which was a Netflix original. I'm assuming it's removed from the running because it never actually made it into theaters. And I do recall that one Oscar year where Netflix had, I forget the name of the movie, but they had a movie and they literally put it in the theaters for like a week just so it could qualify for the Oscars. Now, the representation and inclusion standards that are limiting other films, by now I feel like we've heard of them or familiar with them, where there's just a requirement of certain demographics or genders involved in crew or cast in order to qualify for the Oscars. There are some stories I'm not really sure how you'd be able to get that requirement in front of the camera, but I'm guessing that as long as they're in the crew, that they still qualify. The way that I feel about the representation and inclusion standards, I like the idea, the motivation for it, the reason for it, to give other directors, other talent a chance to be on the spotlight. However, I think the way they went about it ended up not moving the way they thought it should move. I feel like there should have been more emphasis on the judges, the ones who have to make the decisions to check everything out, versus making sure the films meet a criteria. Because there have been movies that were not nominated or considered because they were never even watched by the judges. And you heard it, 323 films qualify. That's a lot of films to watch in a year. And that's just the ones that qualify, not the ones that are just random ones out there that you watch and you realize, oh, this is not going to work for me. That's 323. There's 365 days in a year. So that's just a month or so shy of one movie a day. It's a lot to ask, but I think it's better than trying to enforce this. When you force something, people tend to buck against it. So I just don't know if it's been received well. And I feel like maybe there may have been a better way of going about it. Outside of what I just suggested, I'm not sure. I guess it's why I don't work there. I don't know. The Garfield movie and Sonic the Hedgehog 3 have both been excluded. People. And also Madam Web has also been excluded. I have seen Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I have not seen the Garfield movie. I have not seen Madam Web. The Garfield movie I was not interested in because, I grew up with Garfield, like the cartoons, all other stuff. And there was a live action version with Bill Murray and whatnot. That it was okay. It was okay. Again, this is like a kid's movie. So I aged out, obviously. And then they went a whole different way with this one from what I hear, where it's like, oh, Garfield's trying to find his dad or something, which is not a bad thing. But Garfield has always been a lazy, fat cat who likes to eat. I think that's why I really resonated with him so much. I was like, Garfield, you and I are here. And they kind of changed parts of his character for this modern version that I was just like, I'm good. I'll sit this one out. Not for me. And Madam Web, I wasn't that interested in it. And to begin with, I'm here for Spider-Man, to be honest with you. And I guess Venom sometimes. So I wasn't that interested in it. And then when everyone was talking about how bad it was, or, I was like, well, then I'll just get to it when I get to it. There's no rush for me to watch it. And the more time that passes, the more away from my mind that it becomes. So I just never watched it. But I don't see them being contenders for Best Picture. I'm not sure why they were excluded. It doesn't tell me why. But Sonic the Hedgehog 3 was fun. And Jim Carrey, he needs to always do them. I don't think I can watch a Sonic the Hedgehog movie without him. He really helps to just bring all that fun in. Now, to be fair, it's not all on exclusions of not, meeting requirements. It also says that the discrepancies between films that have qualified and those have not is sometimes because the filmmakers did not attempt to qualify, like the case for several documentaries, animated or international films. I don't even know what filmmakers have to do to qualify. I'm guessing that involves a little bit of the green. I remember watching Adam Ruins Everything as this fun show that used to be on True TV. They changed the name of their channel so many times I can't remember it now. And he had covered the Oscars and award shows and what that looks like and how you get nominated. And it's a lot of, you guessed it, smoozing and spending money and trying to like put more favor on your film and sending free gifts to the judges, which I think you're not supposed to, but whatever. So I feel like knowing what it takes to get an award and the requirements, and I mean just money wise, or connection wise, I was just like, For a long time, I had win an Oscar on my bucket list. Just something that you like. I would love to do this, to be able to do this, not for acting. As disclosed, I'm not an actor, for writing or directing. But now I just I just kind of want to be able to do the craft. I'm not really worried about awards, as if I was a serious contender. Funny. The 2025 Oscars will take place on March 2nd at the Dolby Theater at Ovation Hollywood. You know what? Let's take a look at the list of movies that didn't make the cut. The ones that were excluded. Let's see. What have we got? Have I seen any of these ones? Bad Boys, Ride or Die. Oh, that wasn't up for Best Picture nomination? Like, it wasn't trying to be in the running is what I mean. Not trying to qualify. I mean, it was fun. Boy Kills World. Catching Fire, the story of Anita Pallenberg. Oh, I didn't even heard of. There's so many movies get released. How do you keep up? The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. What? I'm gonna have to Google some of these. For real. Let's see. Food Inc. 2. The Garfield movie. The Girl with the Needle. Girls Will Be Girls. Harold and the Purple Crayon. Did not see that one. Homegrown. Joy. Lost Legacy. Madam Web. Martha. Mean Girls. The musical? It has to be the musical movie that came out. Murderous. Sebastian, Separated. Smile 2. You know what? Let's talk about that. So, Smile 2, for all intents and purposes, was a very worthy sequel to the first one. They upped the ante. They really brought it home. Smile was already groundbreaking itself to me, and an original idea. And then here comes the sequel, and it surpasses it like crazy. Is it because it's a horror movie? The Academy does not respect horror movies like they should. Horror movies are a well-done horror movie with social commentary can be really awesome. I don't understand why they hate horror so much. Is it because it's horror? They don't give it the respect that it deserves? I'm just saying. Moment of the hour, Waves. Okay. Alrighty. Well, are you guys going to watch the awards? Or are you going to check out the highlights like me? Let me know. On to our next story. Armie Hammer starring in new movie The Dark Knight about crime-fighting vigilante. But it's not Batman. Okay. Walk me through this, guys. Okay, you're calling it The Dark Knight. It's about a crime-fighting vigilante. But it's not Batman. And you're saying that our movie is very different from Chris Nolan's movie, so there is no danger of confusion. Okay. And it stars Armie Hammer, who, if you recall, was accused of sexual misconduct in 2021. And they did a whole investigation and everything. And in 2023, they decided to charge him with the crime. It did stall his career for a while, though. Like, he was not getting where. I remember he was on his way up. And then that happened and plummet. Now let's talk about the director, Uwe Boll, who did Blood Rain and First Shift. I know of Blood Rain. I didn't watch Blood Rain. I know it's based on like a video game, and his movies have not been received well, from my understanding. But he himself is not a clean slate either. According to this interview with Turner, the director, Uwe Boll, was accused of abusing screenwriter Jennery Turner, putting her first draft script into production and then letting actors and others change the script during the shooting at will. Oh, that could explain why I didn't do so well. It was just too many cooks in the kitchen. It probably was not connected. And then he has a habit, it seems, of antagonizing his critics severely. So you put him with Armie Hammer, who had those sexual misconduct allegations really like mar him, and you put them together in a movie called Dark Knight about Vigilante fighting crime. That's not Batman. Are you hoping that the controversy around this is what's going to bring more butts to the seats? Because that's the strategic move that may or may not pay off. So Armie Hammer went on a podcast episode of the show Your Mom's House, and he confirmed that he has been turning down roles because of how many offers he's gotten since his sexual misconduct charges were dropped. So as soon as the charges were dropped against him and slate clean, they came calling. The calls started coming back in. Hey, want you here? Hey, want you here? Hey, want you here? Now, I don't know what those other offers were, if they were good offers or bad offers, if the stories were interesting or are not so strong. But he chose to turn down those and accept this one.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
I wonder how Christopher Nolan feels about this. I mean, he doesn't own Batman. You know, it's a DC property. He probably doesn't care. He's washed his hands already. Like, I made my movies. I'm on to different things. He probably doesn't even care. And if this turns into anything like Blood Rain, it's probably not going to even be in comparison to the original Dark Knight. So it says that his role in The Dark Knight seems like it will mix classic superhero ideas with modern ones like social media, intersecting the ideas in a unique story, despite the Batman-like title. Okay, so they're going to be relying a little bit more heavy on social media because it says the vigilante, whose name will be Saunders, so nowhere near Bruce Wayne. His fight against criminals makes him popular on social media, so we're definitely bringing it into the now. The funny thing is, I remember him on The Man from U.N.C.L.E., which I think that movie didn't do well financially, if I recall. But he was starred in it with Henry Cavill, and the two of them together, like, I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was great. I loved the movie. And they were like, I think not two spies, but they worked for two different agencies. I think Army was the British intelligence agency, and Henry Cavill was the American intelligence agency, which is funny because in real life, they're opposite, like one's from the UK, one's American, and they were trying to take down something, some crazy evil plot thing. I watched this a very long time ago. I can't remember. And he was also in Nocturnal Animals with Amy Adams, which was great. That was interesting too. So he really was on a career path for real, like boom, boom, boom. And then okay, for what I remember, online they were talking about cannibalism and weird things. It was weird. It was weird. and then it turned into sexual allegations. The whole thing was just weird. So I just didn't pay attention to it. So I have no idea. I didn't even know that he'd gotten cleared of the charges until checking out this article. So I think the strategy of using a recognizable name and a recognizable story concept will work in his favor, because I already wanted to check it out. Where it's going to hurt them is because you've done it this way, I'm going to compare it to Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight and other Batman properties simply because of what it's based on, even though it's not really that, like you say. So it's going to hurt you as well as help you. Are you guys going to watch this version of The Dark Knight? And are any of you guys fans of the other movie that the director did, Blood Rain, or First Shift? Have you watched The Man from U.N.C.L.E.? I think you'd like that one. Let me know what you guys are going to look at. Let me know if you guys are going to check it out. Our reboot news of the week. Hole's television show receives Disney Plus pilot order. Logline revealed. Okay, for those that don't know, Holes was a 2003 Disney movie that was based on a 1998 book. It tells the story of a boy named Stanley Yelnats, who is sent to a juvenile detention camp after being wrongfully convicted of stealing a famous baseballer's sneakers. And when he gets to the camp, it is not like what he thinks. The owner is making everyone dig holes everywhere, searching for something. They're treated horrible. This is Disney, though. Remember, so we're not talking, it's not harsh. Kids can watch. It's a kid's book and a kid's movie. So when I say they're treated horribly, I mean like Disney level horribly. So for the version of the movie that they did, the 2003 movie that starred Shia LaBeouf in it, Sigourney Weaver was in it, a bunch of other talented actors. It was a hit. It was a hit. The book was a hit. The movie was a hit. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good movie, and it was fun. In the movie, though, there are they find out that the owner who's having all the kids out of the detention camp dig holes day in and day out, day in and day out, day in and day out. She's searching for something, and it's spliced with flashbacks to, I think, her great grandfather or her grandfather, and what he did and how things came to be. There's a kind of treasure of some sort that's buried somewhere out there that the grandfather's been looking for, and he made it his granddaughter's mission. So she took it over. Like everyone in that family line has been trying to dig and find it. So it's a really good movie, and the ending is very satisfying. Very satisfying. So the fact that they're turning what I know of the show, of the movie, into a show, I'm just like, okay, but also how? You know what I mean? Like, where are we gonna go with this? Like, how? In this reimagining. That's probably what they're gonna start. They're gonna stop calling these reboots and remakes, and they're gonna just start calling them reimaginings of the beloved 1998 book from Louis Sachar. A teenage girl is sent to a detention camp where the ruthless warden forces the campers to dig holes for a mysterious purpose. So basically, the exact same thing, but now you're going to stretch it out over a show and versus over a movie. So I guess there's going to be a lot more emphasis on side characters. There's going to be more backstories, more side stories, subplots to kind of really like beef it up. So Liz Fang, hopefully I'm saying it right, is going to be the showrunner and executive producer on the pilot. She has produced Yellow Jackets, which my co-host Fahad has been telling me, gotta watch. So I'm going to watch. I think they're on the third season now, so I'm way behind. But she also produced The Strain. Oh my gosh, The Strain. The Strain, when it came out, had me in a chokehold. That show was like, now that show, straight horror. basically the strain is, what would it look like if vampirism, like being a vampire, if that was like a virus or a disease or something, and how it would infect. And it's so good. And it was a show. They turned it into a show. Like, I think it had how many seasons? Somewhere between 3 to 5 seasons. But it was so good. Oh my gosh. They really good. They did such a good job with that show, The Strain. I think I'm gonna rewatch it. I say that, but I'm like, I don't have time to watch the stuff that's out now. How can I go back and watch? I'll find a way. And The Haunting of Hill House. And the writer and executive producer is Alina Mankin, who she wrote The Mindy Project is the thing that I'm most familiar with what she wrote. And I'm most familiar, I mean, I know of it. I know about it. I've seen a clip or a trailer, but I've never watched the show. But that was a hit as well. So I'm assuming that it'll be fine. It's going to be good. I mean, with good writing and good characters, you can take a story and make it successful as a comic book, as a novel, as a movie, as a TV series, as a video game. So I don't know how you'd make that into a video game. How could you make holes into a video game? Because after a while, the majority of the game would be you digging holes. I mean, recently they just released, I think they released the Harry Potter series. Is it released or they're producing it? And that's a reimagining. And that one also has 7 books and so much world building done and so many characters to follow, so many storylines to evolve. Whereas in Holes, the world isn't as big. So I'm curious to see how they're going to span it. And is it a limited series? Is it like a 1 season or 2 season? And if it's more than that, how? Without aggravating or boring your audience. Because once she finds the right hole, okay, that did not sound good, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Isn't that the end of the show? I don't know. We'll see. Look, the producer she produced Yellow Jackets and The Strain. So she has my attention. I believe in you. I believe in you, Liz. You can do this. I feel like you guys are going to really resonate with our current event news for this week. Check it out. CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, finalizes rule to remove medical bills from credit reports. That's freaking huge, guys. That's freaking huge. On January 7th, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau finalized a rule that will remove an estimated $49 billion in medical bills from the credit report of about 15 million Americans. Their actions will ban the inclusion of medical bills on credit reports used by lenders and prohibit lenders from using medical information in their lending decisions. The rule will increase privacy protections and prevent debt collectors from using the credit reporting system to coerce people to pay bills they don't owe. If you start getting a lot more calls, you know why now. Director Rohit Chopra says, people who get sick shouldn't have their financial future upended. Thank you. Guys, this is huge news. Their research, the CFB's research, reveals that a medical bill on a person's credit report is a poor predictor of whether they will repay a loan and contribute to thousands of denied applications on mortgages that consumers would be able to pay. They expect the rule will lead to the approval of approximately 22,000 additional affordable mortgages every year, and that Americans with medical debt on their credit reports could see their credit scores rise by an average of 20 points. Now, they decided to do this after the other credit reporting conglomerates had already made changes back in like 2022. So Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, they had announced that they would take certain types of medical debt off of credit reports, including collections under $500. And additionally, FICO and VantageScore had announced that they would decrease the degree to which medical bills impact a consumer score. So steps were already being made to make things easier for consumers. And then the Financial Protection Bureau swooped in and was like, nah, not even that. We're going to debt all of this. Let me tell you, this is a win. This is a win, because I cannot tell you like how many people whose credit got wrecked because they had an accident and we're having trouble repaying a loan. We're paying back medical bills. Medical bills. You getting sick is not reason to penalize you. Okay, so there was like a Regulation V where federal financial regulators had created an exception to the consumer's privacy restrictions because they allowed creditors to consider medical debts, and this enabled debt collectors to use the credit reporting system to coerce payments from patients for inaccurate or false medical bills. Woo! Not nice. Not nice. Not nice. Okay. The ruling, which again, January 7th, just passed. Lenders are now going to be barred from using information about medical devices, such as prosthetic limbs, that could be used to require that the devices serve as collateral for a loan for the purposes of a repossession. Are you freaking kidding me? They were doing that? If you don't pay back this loan, we're going to come back and take your leg, your prosthetic leg? Tell me you joking, yo. Tell me you joking. Does that not feel cartoonishly evil to you guys, or is it just me? So the ban of the reporting on medical debt means that it will end the practice of them using the credit reporting system to coerce payment of bills regardless of their accuracy. Now, that's another thing. I know too many people, me included, where there were added charges, or this is why you should ask for an itemized bill whenever you leave the hospital or even the doctor's office, because they throw in things that medications they never gave you, services you never got. And because it's not itemized, it's just included, you don't even know that you're paying extra for something. Lenders will continue to be able to consider medical information to verify medical-based forbearances, verify medical expenses that a consumer needs a loan to pay, and consider certain benefits as income when underwriting and other legitimate uses. Yeah, that I can get behind. So this ruling, it advances the CFB's work to protect consumers from harms from medical debt and coerce debt collections practices. Now, in October, previously, the CFPB had issued guidance clarifying that debt collectors violate federal law when they collect on inaccurate or legally invalid medical debts. This is a win, guys. This is a W, okay? After a bunch of L's regarding medical and insurance stuff with how they treat patients and how, claims and all the foolishness, here's a W. Here is a W. I'll take it. The rule will be effective 60 days after publication in the Federal Register. Yes, we got to win, guys. We got to win. And before you start fretting over that $5,000, $1,000, $10,000 medical bill that they're threatening to throw on your credit report, just know they're not going to be able to do that anymore. Finally, our tech story for the week. Meta's fact-checking partners say they were blindsided by a decision to axe them. I don't know if you guys have heard. I'm pretty sure by now you guys have heard. But Mark Zuckerberg came out and said, we are no longer going to be fact-checking on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. They're abandoning it. And they didn't even let the third-party websites know in advance. The third-party people involved in doing this, they found out basically around the time that we found out. So they are dropping that and following X, Twitter, their example, and instead offering community notes model where the community agrees if something is true or not. The news that this was happening was announced in a blog post by Chief Global Affairs Officer Joel Kaplan on Tuesday morning. The company plans to rely on X-style community notes, which allow users to flag content that they think is inaccurate or requires further explanation. There you go. You can flag stuff, but you're not going to have people fact checking you officially. It's just going to have to be a group effort. Majority rules. I can see where that can be good and bad, because at one time the majority believed a bunch of inaccurate things. I'm going to take it all the way back to King Henry VIII. He kept blaming his wives for not giving him sons, only to find out that it's technically the male sperm that denotes the sex of the child. Anyway, Alan Duke, who's the co-founder and editor-in-chief of fact-checking site, fact-checking site Lead Stories, said there was no advance notice. He said the most painful part of this is losing some very good experienced journalists who will no longer be paid to research false claims found on Meta platforms. They are pissed. They are pissed because this is going to affect their business. It's going to affect a lot of people whose job it is to do this. I mean, this is a global thing. Facebook isn't just a little company. It's global. This is going to spread across the globe as far as affecting commerce in this field. Now, the other thing is Mark Zuckerberg threw them under the bus. I don't know if you guys heard his when he addressed in a video to the public, he threw them under the bus. He was like, yeah, we're not going to be doing this anymore. We don't want people getting banned and removed, because of fact checkers, And they came here and they were like, facts are not censorship. Fact checkers never censored anything. And Meta always held the cards. It's time to quit invoking inflammatory and false languages in describing the role of journalists and fact checking. Holy schmaholies. So they're saying that, listen, we just check the facts. We don't censor you. We don't ban you. We don't block you. We don't remove you. That's on Meta. Mark completely threw them under the bus. And some are stipulating it's because of the incoming, the changing of the hands happening right now in the White House. Angie Drobig-Holland, director of the International Fact-Checking Network, said in an emailed statement, fact checkers have not been biased in their work. That attack line comes from those who feel they should be able to exaggerate and lie without rebuttal or contradiction. Yep, the sky is yellow and you cannot tell me otherwise. Don't fact check me. Oh my gosh. I definitely think that there's been an overuse of censorship, like wild, on things that don't even make sense that you're censoring. But as always, there seems to be, in my opinion, an overcorrection. So instead of pulling back, changing the guidelines, they want to remove the system all completely and just be like, here, community, have at it. Y'all decide. I think you guys are going to start seeing more nefarious posts than normal. on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. Yeah, I don't think this is the move. I definitely am not in favor of all the censorship that's been going on. It's been done. It's wild. But essentially, free range, no holding of the reins. I don't know. I don't know if this is the move. I don't know if this is the move. Am I alone in this? I feel like a lot, there are people who are celebrating, people who are worried. Like, I feel like it's either you're celebrating this because, like, yes, no more censorship. I get to be more free in displaying ideas and talking and discussion, which is great. And then you have the other side who's like, yeah, but what are you going to be saying? Only time will tell how this works. I'm on X, but I'm not like on X. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys can follow me. I'm there, but I don't really be there. X is always, even when it was Twitter, I'm just like, I feel like I'm in the middle of a crowded street trying to hail a taxi or something. I'm like, what am I supposed to do here? I always feel lost. So I don't really know how it is. And then I follow mostly like movie accounts or stuff like that. So I don't get into too many different types of discussions. I definitely don't do political discussions because it's exhausting. No, thank you. Yeah. Well, I guess time will tell if this is a good thing. Time will tell. All right, guys, that wraps the show up for this week. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you found this fun, entertaining, and informative. Feel free to leave a comment. Again, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you like what you're watching and want to help to grow the community. Hit me up on Patreon, where I offer more. And again, I have that class coming up, intro screenwriting. Let's get you writing. Let's get you started. Let's get your journey started. It's 2025. It's a new year. It's the new year. Why wait? Okay. All right. Enough plugging. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.